Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Find Out What's in Pelenta's Forrest. How are you doing? Grab yourself a glass of water or a cup of tea and spend the next few minutes with me. And don't believe everything you hear, and check your facts, do your own research. We have a cool show lined up for you this evening if I can figure out what I'm doing, if I can stop talking so fast. Did you understand that? Check this out. Don't you want to know what my butterflies are saying? What? Don't you want to know what my butterflies are talking? This is Find Out What's in Pelenta's Forrest. Okay. Alrighty. Now that I've gotten through that little outburst, I got some news to share with you. Okay, I just can't stop. I can't stop. What's up? You talking to me? Are you looking at me? I'm looking at you. Is my water tainted? No, I'm just acting like a crazy fool as usual. Okay, so, cool stuff to discuss. Don't believe everything you hear me say. Look it up, for crying out loud. Okay, so, what we're talking about this evening is loans. Forgiving student loans. So the headline read, Congress forgive young farmers student loans. So one thing I'm going to rant really quick about student loans is, you're out there getting an education and you have to pay back this $400,000 student loan. That's pretty hard. So anyway, let me get right to it. The future of our food supply rests in the hands of debt-ridden youth. Not good. Let me explain. I am one of 43 million Americans with student loan debt, and I am one of about 250,000 young farmers, 8% of the nation's farm operators. Now, he says here, I did not set out to be a farmer, but I love it. I will be in agriculture for the rest of my life. My wife is the daughter of an almond and walnut farmer in Chico, so he decided just to get into the family business. My father-in-law is prudent, innovative, and fun. Well, those are nice things to say about your father-in-law. And he has fed the world for the past 30 years. Now he is 65, which is slightly above the average age of U.S. farmers. And he is at the point in his life where, in his words, he just wants to become irrelevant. Who can blame him? He just wants to kick back and just chill. So according to the 2012 Census of Agriculture, 2/3 of United States farmers will change ownership over the next 25 years. That's very concerning because oftentimes when companies, you saw the movie Barbershop, Calvin always wanted to go someplace else with Keith David and, get more money, but his heart was there, so he stayed there. But when businesses and companies change hands, you don't know what you're going to get or what you're going to end up with. They might want to build a big old mall and replace that whole farm. We gotta think about this stuff, people. These numbers aren't alarming until you realize that the study also found that between 2007 and 2012, we only added 1,220 new farmers. Golly. that's almost nothing. That's 5 years. You know? I mean, good grief. And of those 1,220 farmers, I mean, they're all under the age of 35, but 35 is old in the Olympics. We need more young farmers, people. You know, so why aren't more young people becoming farmers? I'll tell you why. Because they're too busy texting and driving. They want to be Kim and Kanye. They want to be famous. They're out doing all kinds of crazy madness. You know, they're just hoping somebody's going to feed them and they don't have to do the work for it. So the National Young Farmers Coalition recently surveyed more than 700 young farmers about their student loan debt. And we found that about 30% of respondents are not farming, or they're delaying farming because they're trying to pay off their student loan. You know, and according to that data, 53% are farming, but they are struggling to pay back their student loans. Now, and he says here that if you include me in that 53%, I'm doing everything that I can to pay off the loan, and my payment schedule is very aggressive given my income. But what are we as a country doing about the student debt crisis, or the looming farming shortage? Man, I tell you what, we need bees and we also need farmers. You know, I had the good fortune to step into an established business, but many new farmers aren't so lucky, and their student debt becomes an insurmountable barrier. You know, I mean, to protect the future of food and farming, Congress has got to take some action. Now, the Young Farmers Success Act, House Bill 2590, introduced last year, would add farmers to the list of professions covered by the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which gives incentives to enter high-need public, service professions by creating a pathway to student loan forgiveness. Now, after 10 years of farming and making monthly loan payments, farmers would be eligible to have the balance of their loans forgiven. Now, that part I don't understand, because it makes it sound like you're going to have to pay off that loan for 10 years before they help you. You know, if I'm incorrect, then correct me. I don't mind being corrected, but it says after 10 years of farming and making monthly loan payments, farmers would be eligible to have the balance of their loans forgiven. You know, so I don't know if he's speaking of his situation or what. But it says the program is also available to teachers, nurses, and government employees, among others. So, is feeding our country not an equally important calling? I think it is. I mean, if we don't have these farmers growing our food, our cows and our chickens, and, and then all the other vegetables and eggs and everything, if we don't have them and bees, we're in pretty bad shape. What you need to do is start learning how to plant a garden, because in the near future, the way things are going, you may very well be depending on what you're planting in your yard to put food on your plate. Think about that. Start educating yourself on canning, and preserving food, stuff like that. I mean, even if you never need it, it's better to have it and not need to use it than need to use it and not have it. So he says here, yes, I am a newbie to agriculture, but there is value in fresh perspectives and in having a college-educated agricultural workforce. Now, I have witnessed the next generation of farmers driving innovation in water efficiency, improved crop production, and non-toxic disease and pest control. So, non-toxic disease and pest control, well, it looks like in the next 25 years, we're going to get rid of Monsanto altogether. We're so glad we had this time together. Hello? Hello? Monsanto? Goodbye. And don't ever call back. Okay? So anyway, I see sustainable farming as a viable way to feed our world. And I appreciate that farmers have to make a dollar doing it. You know, I think lots of times we don't give enough credit to our farmers because without them, we don't really have nothing. Like I said, you're going to be planting and growing your own food. But look at now, Socrates is even getting in on the mix. Socrates remarked, "No one is qualified to become a statesman who is entirely ignorant of the difficulties of wheat." While the world has changed tremendously over the last 2,500 years, food remains essential. Okay? We need food. And elected officials must address the farmer shortage and deal with the student debt crisis. Okay? California's senators and representatives should stand behind young farmers by adding them to the public service loan forgiveness program. It's only fair, especially considering what they, contribute to our community. If we don't have farmers to fight for agricultural water, it's really not going to matter. If it all goes to the fish, we will save the fish and grow food for the world at the same time. Those of us in the fight are doing just that. Now, there's another article that I came across that I found to be very, very, very interesting. Remember in the Matrix where the one agent wiped the sweat off of Morpheus, and he's like, "Look at you, you're a disease. Smell it." Yeah, went crazy. Well, this article all but says that. Now listen, this is about pollution, and it says, as humans trash the seas, experts warn they return the favor by making us sick. All right, 6 years ago, in a bracing 18-minute TED Talk, coral reef scientist Jeremy Jackson laid out how we humans wrecked the ocean. In the talk, he detailed not only how overfishing, global warming, and various forms of pollution and damaging oceans' ecosystems, but also, strikingly, how these human-driven injuries can be harmful to those who live on land as well as in the ocean. Now, toxic algal blooms, for instance, can actually damage air quality near the coast. The coast, instead of being paradise, is now being harmful to your health. And that's because you have people vomiting, pooping, throwing up, spitting up in the water, throwing out their garbage, throwing out their dog crap, people not picking up after themselves. Hey, the fact of the matter is, we are the problem. And it's not that we are the problem. Our behavior is the problem. Our practices, our habits, our routine is the problem. We recently saw a striking example of this off the coast of Florida when a toxic bloom that began in Lake Okeechobee, fanned by high levels of nitrogen and phosphorus pollution, spread to Florida's coast after flows from the swollen lake were released to keep water levels down. You see, you try to help and you just make the problem worse because we've already created a big problem. Now, unfortunately, new research suggests yet another example in a new study published in the Proceedings of, the National Academy of Sciences. A team of researchers find that Vibrio bacteria, which is a tiny marine organism, is capable of causing deadly infections in both humans and also fish. Now, the Vibrio are also becoming more prevalent in the North Atlantic coastal region as ocean waters warm. Now, we're causing that overall trend of warming, of course, by driving climate change, though there are also natural oscillations, at work here. It's not just that, but the majority is that. Indeed, human infections caused by these critters are also on the rise. that's why we're working with France and Britain to help, increase the strength of antibiotics, because, these antibiotics are now starting to become very, very resistant to new strains of bacteria, and we're always going to have new strains of bacteria. So the research finds that these are growing at an unprecedented rate. It's like somebody's giving these little boogers Miracle-Gro, and they're growing just crazy all along the United States Atlantic coast and also the coast of Northern Europe. Now, we were able to demonstrate that there was an increase in the number of Vibrios, probably a 2 or 3-fold increase correlated with the increase in climate temperature, and then correlated with outbreaks of Vibrio infections that have been recorded in the medical records. Now, this was a study done by Rita Caldwell, and she's a microbiologist at the University of Maryland, who is a co-author of the study and who was also formerly administrator of the United States National Science Foundation. Now, Caldwell published the study along with researchers from the University of Genoa in Italy, and also the University of Plymouth in Britain, and also there are various other United States and global institutions involved here. But the Vibrio are very simple organisms, but nonetheless, they're capable of causing severe damage. Vibrio also come in many species. They can't just be one damn thing. They got to have 50 different species of friends to come along with them to wreak havoc. Some are responsible for causing cholera, another species, Vibrio vulnificus, was dubbed highly lethal, and it's responsible for the overwhelming majority of reported seafood-related deaths in the United States in a recent scientific paper. Now, this species of Vibrio can not only poison us through food, but it can also cause deadly infections to people who swim with cuts or wounds into which the bacteria can enter. Well, it doesn't seem like it's too simple now, does it? You can have a little paper cut, and that nasty little joker is just going to slither right in there. So according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, there are 80,000 cases of vibriosis in the United States annually, and the vast majority from consuming seafood. So Vibrio also thrives in warmer seawaters, suggesting that the risk is greater in the summer, which of course is when most people are, around water, around pools, and at the beach, mostly at the beaches, and consuming seafood. Now, the new study examined 133 samples of long-term marine plankton levels from across the North Atlantic region, and then analyzed the Vibrio content with them in proportion to other bacterial levels. The samples dated back about a half a century. I always wonder, where do they get this half a century and million years back? How do they find those, how do they come up with those statistics? Because with the tree, you know that it's the rings, in the tree. Now, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, I just read that. Sorry. The new study examined the 133 samples of long-term marine plankton levels across the North Atlantic region, and then analyzed the Vibrio content with them in proportion to the other bacterial levels. I already read that. Well, in about 8 out of 9 regions of North Atlantic, the study found that as temperatures warmed, numbers of Vibrio bacteria also grew. So, you heard it here. Vibriosis is coming to get you. It's starting in Florida, just like with Zika. Well, not really Zika, but yeah. So we have another little devil to watch out for, people. But anyway, that is going to do it. Next, we're going to talk about the study of glaciers, gravity, and that is adding to global warming evidence. So that's going to be interesting, and that's going to be perfect to fall right in line behind us being a plague to the planet. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Go to my website, buy my book, Angels Passing Through, PelentaArtForest.com. And on that note, we are going to get out of here with lots and lots and lots of love coming your way. Be nice to people. You know, you don't have to be mean, nasty, or racist. You don't have to be. You can be nice to people. Say a kind word to somebody. Make somebody's day. You never know how your kind words will change somebody else's life forever or their outlook. So be nice to somebody, people. And on that note, I am so very grateful for everything again. And I am grateful for you too. God bless you all. Good night. Thank you for watching.